one of our struggle stalwarts, a stalwart of the African National Congress, a stalwart of South Africa, and a stalwart of the struggling liberation movements of the African continent. And as we go through the program with all the tributes, it'll become very clear why I say that Auntie Edith is a stalwart of the liberation movements and, in fact, of independent countries on the African continent. Auntie Edith passed away after a short illness on the 4th of January 2021. Our aim today is to celebrate a life very well lived by Mama Edith, which encompasses many facets, for which time, unfortunately, will not permit us to examine and remember all the facets of Mom Edith's life. We will try our best today to try, in our small way, to lift up the spirit of Mom Edith Tunyiswa, to remember her. And in so doing, we are so fortunate that we have got some people that have lived, struggled right next to Auntie Edith throughout her lifetime. Without much further ado, let me greet the family of Auntie Edith Tunyiswa. Let me greet our NEC members who are here with us. Let me also greet our veterans who are on the platform and appreciate the effort that was made to actually be on the platform. Unfortunately, because of COVID, this is how we now have to meet with one another. I greet you all and welcome you to this virtual memorial program for Auntie Edith Tunyiswa. Our program is running up to 18:30, wherein we will have representations from different facets of Auntie Edith's life. And all I would like to ask our speakers, I'm not going to curtail anybody, because I think that a life led in the manner that Auntie Edith led her life deserves to be celebrated in as best possible way we can do it under the circumstances. I would just request perhaps everybody, if you could kindly mute your device when you are not speaking. And when it's time for you to speak, then you can unmute the device so that we can avoid any other disturbances. We've also been advised that some people who were going to join, unfortunately, have been hit by load shedding. And therefore, we've lost quite a number of participants. And I do hope, therefore, that Comrade Kabelo, you are busy recording so that people can be able to access the recording afterwards. Please put on the record so that those who did not manage to, thank you. I see that you're recording. I appreciate that. I will then just, if you will notice, as we go through the program, which was sent to the participants, you might find that I've got certain name changes in certain areas, and that is because we've had some changes. For example, we are now going to, the program will be opened by Reverend Deboho Mwahi, and we would like to really thank you, Reverend, because in our program we had Pastor Carol Jack, who unfortunately, just as we were about to begin, she received bad news about a family member and this being affected by this pandemic that we have right here. And therefore she has to deal with that family bereavement. So we really appreciate Reverend Deboho Mwahi for coming and being able to assist us. And therefore, without further ado, let me hand over to Reverend Deboho Mwahi so that he can open our proceedings with a prayer. Thank you. Reverend Mwahi.
7 as we pray, and it reads as follow. Lord, remind me how briefly my time on earth will be. Remind me that my days are numbered, how briefly You have made my life no longer that with my hand. My entire lifetime is just a moment to you. At best, each of us is a breath. We are merely moving shadows, and all our busy rushing ends in nothing. We whipped up wealth, not knowing who will spend it. And so, Lord, where do I put my hope? My hope is in you. Comrades, receive this as the word of the Lord. Thank you. Let us pray. Merciful God, the creator of heaven and earth, wena modimo a itsitseng gore motswadi wa rona mme Edith Tunyiswa will be laid to rest and will leave this planet. We call upon you to bless this online service, memorial service of her. It is a celebration of her life. But those of us who were not there when the struggle for freedom was happening, we thank you for her life. The comrade that sacrificed her life for us, we thank you that you will bless each and every speaker who will be speaking here. Even her burial service, you will be the one who's leading it. But above them all, Father God, I pray that you are the one who will comfort her family, her children, grandchildren, that comes after will be blessed by you. We thank you in the midst we are unable to meet personally, but we are still by you even in the midst of pain. And who was crucified for us and resurrected, whose name is Jesus the Christ, now and forevermore.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend Moafi. Comrades, as I said, we are here to remember Auntie Edith Tunyiswa in her different facets. We are also here to celebrate her life. We are also here to learn, those of us that did not know about certain facets of her life, her contribution. We have an eminent list of participants here. And therefore today, I think, can you hear me?
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if I was on.
Sorry, I thought I heard somebody saying something.
Yes, and I can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you, Reverend. And therefore, we are really, we want to celebrate this life. Auntie Edith was a person that had such a zest for life. And she would be very, very pleased to know that as we sit here and remember her, we are going to remember everything about her in terms of her sternness. We are going to remember her zest for life. We are going to remember her dedication to the struggle. We're going to remember how she supported children from all over South Africa as they came out. We're going to remember her pioneering spirit as being one of the 21 nurses that we will hear more about in this memorial that went to Tanganyika to assist a soon-to-be independent country. Those are fabulous stories that we must celebrate as we celebrate Auntie Edith's life. life. Without much ado, I will then hand over to a family representative to speak on behalf of the family, and that is Vukani Khatebe. Vukani, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yes, speaking Nomti yesterday, I felt good I should redo the speech since there were technical glitches from the, what you call Google communication platform. So yes, I'll speak for Umakulu in the family setting as abantwana bakhe besihlala naye in one roof. That is me now, Nomtandazo, Nombulelo, Boxer, Samora, many others. Umakulu helped shape the destiny of many of us, the values, character, and beliefs Mom Edith, as she was affectionately called, loved us. Her gentle voice was always a source of covering and comfort and refuge for us. She made all of us, her children, feel loved and celebrated our milestones. We learned many valuable lessons from Omama: humility, hard work, and compassion. Mama loved life and she loved to laugh, and so was it. No, Utatumkulu Pipi. Makulu was a smartly dressed lady, embraced life with openness and love. She was fluent in Kiswahili, which meant she could cultivate stronger relationships with locals out of respect. Kakhulu besithanda even ukuhleka ahleka utatomkhulu uthi hayibo kunini sila eTanzania you don't speak Iswahili. Tatomkhulu only knew how to say asante sana in a Barigani, and she would laugh at him kuyonke leyo. Umakulu was an amazing cook. Delicious food was a great part of our communion, which brought comrades and neighbors alike very close. Kumbula Nabu, the late Ubabu Mahembe, Nobabu Achi Sibeko, aka ZZ Zola Zembe. They were all trade unionists. So besides ukuthi makufika bona ke uzoba adekile izinto zakhe, she had cutlery for days for different, ezikhona ezinye that you can't touch, that it's just where maybe once a year or so, or casually, but she had for all occasions. And yes, she was, as I say, she loved life. She was a street smart, even to make means. She used to even sell bags, whether to other nurses and doctors, and even us growing up. We used to sell ice lollies. We make ice lollies, nomti, osheshe, and nomnemti apake, our Queen's cake, and we sell. Then Imalia Corner would be our pocket money, whether for school and for other purposes. And yeah, they balanced each other very well. Umakulu, maybe when she was angry with us, Utatomkulu was high posy, yekabantwana. As much as Utatomkulu akwatile, uyena who knew how to calm him down, yekabantwana. So yes, bekuhlale nje kumnandi kuhlekwa, and ngazi sothini, there was a term even conjured with Biblism. Utatomkhulu had stories for days. Kumbula kunama-floods eLusaka. Athi hey, ngibona umayembe bayabhabha ngehembe. Ukuthi but it means uthathwe ama-floods. 3 days later, nakuba kumayembe uyaphila nje. So yeah, and you would crisscross the world. Hambe China kakhulu. Soliciting funds for the workers versus South Africa. And wabuya one time at Nomtandazo, do you know what your name is in Chinese? But hey, you Tongwa. So from Masivi Funubutle Nomtandazo, and we will call it Tongwa, even till today. Ikamala Kelelo. Yes, Umakulu was a communal farmer. Kumbula Slala, many places in even Lusaka. We enjoyed all kinds of vegetables and fruits season long. Organic food we ate in the 80s. I know ebethanda enye club yaseSoweto kuBholan, but I think the last 5 years I won't even mention it ngegama. It's the last 5 years umakhulu akazi ukujabula yini. And yes, bengithi I'll send off with the Proverbs 31, a woman of virtue. She extends a hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. Strength and honor her clothing. She shall rejoice in the time to come. She opens her mouth with kindness, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and praises her. Many women do noble things, but you, Makulu, surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Lord, give her the rewards she has earned, and let her works bring praise to the city gates. Sibonge. His speech that Upapa wrote, that I don't know, maybe he's a program, or I can do it now, or he's a program.
He's a program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
thank you so much, Fukani.
sure.
We are learning another side of Auntie Edith, or Mom Edith, that we might not have known. And that is the part of the tenderness towards her immediate children. But we also know that her heart was so big that she extended love even to other children beyond her nucleus.
Definitely.
I would like to call upon a member of the nucleus family to speak now on behalf of the grandchildren, and we shall have Mr. Mkuseli Stamper, who will speak on behalf of the grandchildren. Please proceed.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Diabuga Tunyiswa, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the grandchildren. Umkuseli, like myself, really didn't have the words, and it might seem that it's shallow, but I cannot but help for the sake of ensuring that everyone's voice is heard in this poem, but read it. Please bear with me. Thank you. You can have one special grandmother, patient, true, and kind. No other friend in all the world will be the same to you. When other friends forsake you, to grandma you will return. For all her loving kindness, she asks nothing in return. As we look upon her picture, Sweet memories we recall of a face so full of sunshine and a smile for one and all. Sweet Jesus, please take this message to our grand dear mother up above. Tell her how much we miss her and give her all our love. Our grandmother was a tough lady. Her demeanor was very strict. Not that, but only that her heart was also so tender. Though her smile is gone forever and her hand we cannot touch, we still have so many wonderful memories of the one we admired so much. With the gift of years comes the treasure of knowing that there are many of those who love you dearly. The memories you've made with us will last forever, Makulu, and the tenderness you've shared with us will never fade. The most wonderful gift you can ever give is a special part of that we now find in each and every one of us. And the truth love has taught us can only be strengthened by the gift of time. And as you enter your newly heavenly home, may you rest in peace for that which you truly deserve. Thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. That is so beautiful. From the family members who have just spoken, we are hearing the overarching feeling that they got of loving kindness. We heard about the reading as well from Vukani about the law of kindness. We recognize, we hear that the children recognize that Granny, she was stern, she was tough, but she was also very loving. And they owe where they are today to all those characteristics of Granny. I would like now to call upon Comrade Guy Mutlali. We used to know him as Comrade China, who worked for many years with Mom Edith in Emmersdale Clinic, in Lusaka, and in other places. I don't know if we recall, Auntie Edith used to drive in an ambulance in Lusaka. She was, everywhere you saw the ambulance, Auntie Edith was there at any time of the day. So I'll call upon Comrade Guy Mutlali to kindly present his tribute to Mom Edith. Thank you.
Yeah, good day. Can you hear me?
Perfectly, Comrade China, we can hear you. And we can see you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'd love to greet the family, listeners, protocol observed. I've worked with Mama Edith from 1983 at Emmersdale Clinic. I was recruited by Negro Corps to come and assist because they had a problem of manpower having to drive an ambulance. So then I went to join the team. It was Dr. Zinto, who was in charge of the clinic, Dr. Waga, Dr. Nokwe used to come and assist sometimes, Rebecca Masemola, Gloria More, and even the Mahwe Victor, who was at Matola. She used to cook for the patients. Mom Edith was in charge of running the clinic and the staff. And she was a very, very nice mother to us all because we so much used to respect her. She was coordinating the running of the clinic, and sometimes she will decide to go and check for the patients at the Chainamo Hills Hospital and Lusaka Hospital, whereby at Chainamo we used to get most of our comrades who were mentally disturbed. And she was very passionate about her job and her responsibility. She'll also coordinate with the chief rep when some of the comrades passed on. So we'll then have to take an oath to bury some of our comrades, and she'll see to it that everything is done by the order of the book. She'll also coordinate with Chief Representative Ntate Mashego. When some of the comrades have passed on, we'll have to take oath, having to bury our comrades in Lusaka. We used to report to Dr. Mantu Chabalala. And Edith used to be a mom who was very strict, but she'll sit down and laugh because, especially when the transport at the clinic, we didn't have an ambulance until she organized to say we must get 2 ambulances, which because we were using only 1 car, which she was driving, which was a Mazda, which was a 404 Puja. And the problem used to be that now, and Edith, who's going to take the food to the patients at the hospital, or who's going to check for the patients, then she'll say, no, I'll go with you. So it used to be very interesting that Aunt Edith was a mother to us. We always used to listen to her. And if somebody needed assistance, we'll always go to Aunt Edith. And she said to us, you know what, since we are in Lusaka, we are supposed to also assist people around Emansdale who were ill, families who were sick, because by then there was no transport around the area. She'll ask us to take maybe somebody who's giving birth to the hospital or treat those patients at our clinic and say to us, listen to me, these people have hosted us, so we also have to look after them. And that was a mother to us. She was a mother to all of us. And she used to make sure that our patients were getting treatment. There were patients like Chief Dalinjwebo, Chief Mukwena, Chief Mampuru, Ntate Motsabi, who needed some medication every time at home. We used to go and check for their blood pressure and everything and take them to the clinic or hospital if needs be. And Edith has showed us to say, you know, life in exile was not easy. Life used to be tough. But for us to be together, we have to work as a team. And she fought to say that clinic must be extended. There must be some extra rooms whereby we can work 24/11 to treat our patients. And she was so passionate about it. Transport and everything, she used to see to it that we maintain the transportation for patients, medication, food, everything. And also do house-to-house visits. And she was very passionate having to go and check to say, are all those patients looked after? I was so impressed and happy that, you know, I had a mother in exile. And I would like to say thanks for her contribution to the revolutionary struggle. And may her soul rest in peace. Thank you so much for her contribution and having to have taught us to be responsible and skills of now having to run a project on its own, because that clinic was a project and she ran it successfully. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Comrade China. As with each and every speaker, we find another facet of Auntie Edith's life to celebrate. So many beautiful characteristics rolled into one: a caregiver, a mother, a pioneer of public health care, a methodical project manager, passionate in her work. These are the characteristics that we need to emulate. I will now call upon Vukani to kindly read the tribute from Comrade Jeff Khadebe. Thank you. Vukani?
Yes. Can you hear me, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, Vugani, you are loud and clear.
Okay. Yes, this is a message from Ubabu Jeff. Mom Edith was a stalwart and a heroine of our liberation movement. Coming from an ANC family, she was from a very young age imbued with revolutionary and ethical values of the ANC. A healer by intuition, she was trained as a professional nurse at Chris Hani Baragwana Hospital in Soweto. She interacted with many other dedicated women leaders, such as the late Mam Albertina Sisulu. Mam Edith was also an internationalist who, together with other 21 nurses, answered the clarion call by ANC almost 60 years ago to leave family, friends, and comrades to build the health system of a newly independent Tanganyika. The colonial regime had abandoned and left Tanganyika without skilled personnel in the medical field. Mam Edith was therefore one of the pioneers that laid a firm foundation for building a new health system for Tanzania. Mam Edith and her late husband, Elvin Beni, affectionately known as Ben Bella, Uncle Bibi, made their home in Dar es Salaam an ANC home for many of us. They treated us as their own children and we felt at home away from home. I am one of the beneficiaries of the generosity of their great heart. With my son, Vukani, only 5 years old, it was left to Mom Edith and Uncle Bibi to look after, nurtured and literally brought him up when his mother and myself were in Germany for academic training. I shall forever be indebted to them for what they did. As we lay I'm feeling, yeah. Mom Edith, let's remember her as the Florence Nightingale of Tanganyika. And all those ANC children, such as Nomtandazo, Vukani, who helped shape their destiny. Let's pick up the fallen spear and forge ahead, mobilize many Mam Ediths to fight the COVID-19 pandemic and renew our ANC for the better. Long live the undying spirit of Makulu, Tunyis.
Thank you so much, Vugani. Thank you so much. Again, we hear another beautiful characteristic. Through the kindness and the love and the sternness and the revolutionary comes the internationalist. Auntie Edith was an internationalist long before it became fashionable to be an internationalist. And on that note, we lead very nicely into the next speaker, who is Auntie Tandi, Ambassador Tandi Lujabe-Rankwe, who will also give us a tribute, followed by a tribute from Ambassador Lindiwe Mabuza, which will be read by Bulani Kingston. Thank you. Auntie Tandi, the floor is yours.
Comrade Chair, the family, comrades and friends, we are gathered here together. It's not the best of times, but this had to happen, and more is still going to happen. Now about Comrade Edith Tunyiswa. I was in Dar es Salaam in 1961. I went there through Botswana, Bechuanaland then was sent to Mbeya, where Comrade Edith Tunyiswa was. I stayed with her for a week, And during that period, he had organized lots of clothes for me to carry to Dar es Salaam, what we called umphando. Going back to Dar es Salaam, he organized a medical doctor to give me a lift back to Dar. As we all know, she was one of the 20 nurses. Her sister Kollega, who got married to a Tanzanian, also helped us to settle in. So these two sisters, we must never forget them. They were always there for us. It is very sad that not much is mentioned or said about these nurses. Tanzania suffered because they supported the liberation movement. Not that just South Africa, other liberation movements. So we should not forget that. I was hoping that there would be a lot written about her, even if it's 2 lines, a paragraph or whatever, because she was there for us. And this is the history that we can never rub off. We can't. You know, the new generation, they have to know exactly where we come from and what happened. Otherwise, we'll lose it. But we are such a powerful country. We've gone through so much in life. Why? Why should we forget? Why shouldn't we put all these things in writing so that the new generation, the schools can have all this? South Africans are very clever people. They have brains. So please, just write this history of ours. We shouldn't just sit today and talk and talk and talk, but this history should be there in writing. I beg you, let's do that. I would then like to say, Comrade Edith, lala ngoxolo. Sawuhlala sikukhumbula. You did a lot for us. Thank you, Size.
Thank you, Auntie Tandi. How blessed are we in the African National Congress to be able to have leaders like the ones that we have? How blessed are we to be able to have the stalwarts that we have and the history that we have, where we were able, as a national liberation movement in exile, we're able to support a soon-to-be independent country with the people of the caliber of Mom Edith and the other 20 nurses. It's absolutely amazing. I would like, at this juncture, just to acknowledge and to greet. We have some, I've noticed we have new participants on the platform. I would like to greet you, Minister Nosiviwe Apisa Ngakula, acknowledging you, Minister Ayanda Dlodlo, acknowledging you, Comrade Mavivi, acknowledging you as well. It is wonderful that you are here with us on this platform, because we know that you have also had fabulous experiences during our revolutionary. Thank you. I will proceed with the program. And I had said that Pulani was going to read a tribute from Auntie Lindwe Mabuza, Ambassador Lindwe Mabuza, and also read a tribute from Auntie Barbara Masigela. Pulani, over to you. After that, we will then go to the tribute from the ANC Women's League and the ANC Veterans League, just to be prepared. But Pulani, you may proceed. Thank you.
In January 1977, Nigeria hosted the largest Pan-African event ever, the World Festival of African Arts and Culture, otherwise known as FESTAC. At the time, Comrade Thabo Mbeki was Chief Representative of the African National Congress to Nigeria and West Africa, deputized by Comrade Yinsa Chume. Through the advice, work, and efforts of the Chief Representative's Office in Lagos, the ANC sent the largest diverse contingent as participants of any liberation movement to FESTAC. The administrators for the ANC contingent were Comrades Edith Pemba and Yinsa Chume. For the fullest appreciation of their role, it is necessary to know something of the composition of this ANC delegation to this biggest Pan-African event ever. The first was Indlamu, the traditional dance group led by Comrade Veteran. The second was our theater, made up of actors who comprised the youth. They presented the June 16 Soweto uprising in 1976 and the massacre of school children. There were also Freedom Songs presenters who were made up of students from the German Democratic Republic, led by Comrade Zola Squehia, Sispopi, Zana, and others. In addition, there were professional jazz musicians invited from different localities, and these included Dudu Pukwana, Johnny Jani, Churchill Jolobe, Jonas Gwangwa, Julius Bahule, and others. The writers who were in attendance were Kiorapetsi, Willie Khositsile, Mandla Langa, Lififi Tladi, and myself, Lindiwe Mabuza. It was at FESTAC that we met Comrade Edith. Her role in the health field is what we naturally associate her with. And indeed, she catered to most of our needs as a nurse. She came prepared from Dar with a medical chest with miscellaneous items. But Comrade Edith was essentially a social worker, proficient in problem solving. When it became obvious that the smokers in the group who had not had a joint in days might do some counter-revolutionary mischief, it was Comrade Edith who devised the scheme that delivered cigarette packs for the poor souls. There had been a delay in the transfer of monies from our London office for our daily allowances as full-time ANC cadres. She understood the danger of handling frustrated soldiers away from home base. She solved the problem for ease of rehearsals. Though the group was small and comprised different generations, interpersonal conflicts and other issues did come up, which caused voices and temperatures to rise, though not often. Automatically and naturally, Comrade Edith was the first and only port of call. One very hot day on a bus trip from Ibadan, two comrades asked the driver to park by the side of the road with the excuse that they needed to find a toilet. They disappeared behind some houses, and 30 minutes later, Comrade Edith dispatched two of us to go looking for them. We found them comfortably seated at a table full of empty beer bottles. Their eyes almost popped up at our sight. Back on the bus, we truthfully reported the Shabin scene to Comrade Edith. She went, "Mfe!" Even without the benefits of our report, the comrades could tell from the floundering, staggering walk what the culprits had been up to. And the curses came from all sides, plus a few blows too. What followed is still unbelievable. Out of some wrapped package came a bottle of brandy. Comrade Edith tells us all in the moving bus that all those who partake will get a doppy at each round, except the two culprits. Starting from the front, she pours brandy into the lid of the bottle and a gulp, then the next, till the last row, then from the back till the front, and on and on. For the rest of the trip, there was jolly singing of old favorites, Wembube, Meadowlands, Back to the Moon, and so on. There was so much joy and good camaraderie on the bus because of Comrade Mama. All had fun except the two culprits. At Festac, we experienced the multi-talented nurse, friend, teacher, psychologist, social worker, and mother par excellence, Comrade Edith Pemba, really one of a kind. Hamba kahle, qhawe lamaqhawe, malibongwe. So that is the tribute from Ambassador Mabuza. And if I can then, Nosisa,
Yes.
do you want to say anything?
Please proceed with the next one. Thank you. From Aunt Barbara Masekela.
The next tribute is from Ambassador Masekela. The announcement of the passing of Comrade Edith Pemba evokes powerful memories of the African National Congress comrades in the struggle for the liberation of our country, especially in Lusaka, Zambia. Above all, in paying this short tribute, I want to emphasize how fortunate my generation has been in having models such as herself. We learned from them that there was a task for everyone in the struggle, and that no matter how humble, that task was essential to the realization of our freedom. They also taught us how to mind our own business, and that business was serving the best interests of our people beleaguered by this apartheid, poverty, and violence. It is a sad indictment amongst us that at this time, when we are so sorely in need of ethical models that the lived history of our movement is so neglected. We keep on saying that everyone has a story to tell, yet we have not created the means for those stories to be told. We have failed to keep alive their memories and thus to perpetuate their values. Some of us were fortunate to counter these comrades early in our childhood. At the time, in the 1960s, our movement was surviving on a shoestring. There were no cars, no computers, no personal assistants, and there was no material reward for working in the movement. As has already been repeated in many accounts, there was only one car in Lusaka for the whole of the ANC, and some of our leaders used cardboard paper as inner soles for their shoes. Sis Edith was married to Comrade Ben Bella, a man with an impressive physical stature, also known for his outgoing, humorous temperament. She was clearly the disciplinarian in the family. She stood out in her own right as a dedicated professional, a freedom fighter seeking no special treatment or rewards, and instead focused on her tasks. Speaking on the occasion of the International Year of the Nurse and Midwives in 2020, Comrade Zweli Mkhize, the Minister of Health, said, and I quote, "We also remember the 20 nurses who heeded the call from Tanganyika and made the voyage to Tanzania in 1961 at a time when the country faced a nursing crisis after British rule ended," end quote. Edith Pemba was one of those 20 nurses. In South Africa at the time, the African National Congress had been banned in the previous year after the Sharpeville massacre and was undergoing a perilous time, seized with the issue of the transition to the armed struggle. Its leaders recently acquitted in the 5-year treason trial, most of them banned, but traversing the country at great risk and visiting newly independent countries in a bid to establish a machinery to fight instead of pleading. There was state violence all around the country against patriots in Pondoland, Zeerust, and many other urban and rural areas. In the stay-at-home campaign, people were literally fished out of their houses and forced onto buses with trained police dogs and shamboks to go to work. Masses of people were arrested. Yet the African National Congress managed to organize these 20 nurses to leave the country. More remarkable is the courage of these young women who chose to make the sacrifice of leaving home and with their only contract, that of eventual freedom for South Africa. Today, we shudder to think of the state of mind of these brave warriors like Sis Edith, who entered their last days as witnesses to the greed and corruption, the materialism, the degradation of our environment, and the disrespect of earlier freedom fighters who negotiated our freedom under fire, being called names that are fit for traitors. I know that I speak for many when I say that we will remember Comrade Edith Pemba as one of the authentic heroines of our struggle, who made a proud mark in the history of the people. Like so many of her peers, we loved and respected her for her diligence to her work and for her dignity. Hamba kahle qawe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pulani. That was very, very telling. What I forgot to mention when I introduced Pulani, I forgot to mention the fact that Pulani also has a story, because Pulani also lived in Tanzania with Mom Edith and Uncle Bendela for some time. And therefore, she also is part of the family or part of the children that experience this love, the loving kindness, the sternness of Auntie Edith. Auntie Edith was one who was right there at the cusp of the making of history, as we have heard. But we've also heard that Auntie Edith was also a cultural leader and also an innovative disciplinarian. So those are the many facets that I alluded to that we're not going to be able, as I said, to cover and finish. But Auntie Edith was a person of many, many, many talents. And those talents she put to good use towards the struggle for liberation of our country. Thank you. I will now move on to the next point in our agenda. We've done, this was Auntie Barbara was the last speaker. Thank you very much. And now we go on to a tribute from the ANC Women's League. And I have here as a representative, Comrade Nozipo Tobeka Makeke. Please proceed, Comrade. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Malibongwe.
Ikamalama Kosigazi. Thank you, Program Director, Comrade Nosizwe. Family of our stalwart, Mama Edith Tunyiswa-Pemba, ANC NEC members, ANC Women's League members, President of the ANC Veterans League, Dr. Snuki Zigalala, and fellow comrades. Receive the revolutionary greetings and condolence message from the women of the ANC Women's League. We are gathered this evening to celebrate the well-lived life and times of one of our own stalwarts, our heroine stalwarts, who sacrificed her life for all of us, for our liberation that we are enjoying today. We are all bonded by the life of the selfless and diligent cadre Umama Edna was. When we look at the life of Umama Edna, all we can say is that she embodied the life and teachings of our founding mother and first president of the ANC Women's League, Umama Charlotte Manyamaxeke, which is ideally captured in this quote, open quote. This work is not for yourselves. Kill that spirit of self and do not live above your people, but live with them. If you can rise, bring someone with you, close quote. She never thought of herself, her comfort only, but took it upon herself to interact with other dedicated women leaders, such as Omama late Albertina Sisulu, where she got Umkhabulo to take forward women's struggles. We've heard how dedicated she was, how she made it outside the country in Tanganyika when she was part of those 21 nurses who actually was part of the system, who initially assisted that government of that time to make sure that the health system is functional. She is our Florence Nightingale of today, and we can't forget that. Our health system needs such heroine that will save our country. To the family, friends, comrades, please receive heartfelt condolences from the ANC Women's League. Asimkhulule, agoduke, ugqatso ulufezile, uyilwile indima yakhe, thina masithathe apho ashiye khona. I concur with comrade veteran Uthandi Rankwe when she said, we don't write anything. Nothing has been written about Umama Edna and all other heroines and heroes of our struggle. We must have that history so that the upcoming generation should know that where we come from. We had women, Abafana Nabomamu Edna, who gave it all, who made it a point that we go out, struggle, and leave everything behind. So there's a lot that you should learn about our fallen heroine, Umama Edna. So let us forge that. Let us make sure that we write about our leaders. This year, the ANC Women's League, we are going to be embarking on celebrations of Umama Charlotte Maxeke, because we want our youngsters to know that what did Umama Charlotte Maxeke did. So it goes with Umamu Edna. We should celebrate Elife Kamamu Edna. It must not end up here today. Let us move forward as the ANC and the ANC Women's League acknowledge and recognize our heroes and our heroines of our struggles. Long live the undying spirit of Mamu Edna. Long live. Malibongwe igama lamakhosikazi. I thank you, Program Director.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that message from the ANC Women's League. Yes, we are led. We are led by women that have given their all. One always says that perhaps if we look internationally, or if we look at the history of the world, you will find that in the forefront of most successful struggles, you always find that the women are right there in the front. They are bearing the bullets, and at the same time, they are looking after the society and growing the community. So yes, we are out to be part of this journey and to actually have been part of this whole struggle and understanding where our movement comes from, who are the people that make up the movement, the stalwarts of our organization. So Amandla, with those words, I would like to say we are again so privileged to have known Edith, not only because she was a woman and from the Women's League, but a fighter in her own right. And therefore the next speaker will therefore deal with all those aspects about how, what happened in 60 years ago when the nurses went to Tanganyika, what that means in terms of the building of international relationships on our continent and beyond. Our next speaker, therefore, from the Veterans League will be Uncle Tunyiswa-Pemba. He's been representing the Veterans League. Dr. Snuki Zikalala is not able to speak today, but he has nominated Uncle Tunyiswa-Pemba, for which we are most humbled to be able to have him on this platform. Uncle Tunyiswa, all over to you. Let me also state that just before the memorial started, Uncle Tunyiswa had load shedding. So he tried to log on with his phone, and I think he had managed. I just want to make sure that he's still online here. Yes, he is there. Uncle Tunyiswa, You can unmute yourself.
Comrade Rita will help him.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, Uncle Cindy. We could hear you. You can try and unmute again. Oh, it's disappeared. All right, I think something has happened. It's disappeared at this point. If he manages to log on again, we will return. Yes, I see that he was online, had unmuted for a second, but it's gone again. I'm sure he will be able to come on. So maybe what we should do at this juncture, okay, he's trying to come on. Can the host kindly accept him? Oh dear. I think there's definitely a problem.
You can then call in Nikki Paya.
Okay. Okay, fine. Is he online? Comrade Pagamile, are you online? Yes, he is. Could you kindly come on to speak on behalf of the veterans whilst Uncle Sindiso organizes himself? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I am online. It's a pity that we are losing Comrade Sindiso. He was quite an ideal person to deal with the matter at hand, because he comes from the Mgwenya generation. I'm more of the 1976 generation. And my story will be very close to the many stories that are being told here by some who went through the hands of Aunt Edith. Although I did not have the privilege of staying in the house of Aunt Edith and Uncle Bibi, but my elder brother, who's late, had a stint with them in Lusaka. And then also my wife, when I was stuck in Angola at one stage around 1987, they were taking care of my family. When my second born child landed, I was stuck in Angola. And this is the one who took the responsibility of giving the child the name of Ndombesizi. I get to meet Aunt Edith myself around 88, when we were on a trip to Sweden as a group of 14 ANC students sent going to do a course in administration. We had a whole year together there. I don't want to repeat the comments that were made by the others in terms of the kind of spirit, the kind of personality. The Mom Edith, very kind, able to mix with all generations, would sit and have long hours in the evenings, chatting and pulling each other's legs. Where I would like, therefore, to come in is around what they did in 1963 or 1962, around there, when they responded to a call by the movement to go and assist. Whilst we're a liberation movement, our movement rose to the challenge of responding to a request by President Julius Nyerere then to assist with their health services when they were let down by the departure of the British nurses who could not stand the coming in of a black government in Tanganyika then. It was a great humanitarian gesture by an oppressed nation at the time to rise and respond. Solidarity, that's what this gesture teaches us, that even if you think you don't have much, there is something that can offer to others. Just humble yourself and do the little that you can. And Edith and the other 19 nurses she was with were heroines that are unsung. You know, today we're challenged with COVID. And we've got a number of people who are standing in the front line. I would wish South Africans would also honor the present nurses of today, as we remember the great work that were done by these nurses in helping Tanganyika then to have a proper health service. Today, we need to give support, not only to South African health activists, but to health activists across the world who are standing in and defending people's lives. The act, these ladies, that they did by agreeing to volunteer and help another country and leave their homes, leave the comforts of their homes, and go and stand in and fight in a foreign country, and not respond and say, but what about the health services at home? But understood that if we expect help from others, you also need to help them when they need you. The act that the movement did that time, it is not surprising when you see how the ANC became a big name throughout the different parts of the world. It is how our leadership understood that the struggle in South Africa cannot be won in an isolated fashion. We needed to link up with the struggles of the other people in other parts of the world. What Mama Edith did and her colleagues then is very similar to what the MKK does. We were leaving the country, people were leaving the country to go and join MK. They were also responding to a call that was a responsibility to help us in our fight for the liberation of South Africa, because a strong Tanzania was needed to be able to give us a base to be able to come back home and fight. So by agreeing to go and assist in that country, in a way, they were helping that country to be able to respond and give us the necessary help that they did provide to us, and will remain forever indebted to that country for the help they gave us. Today, though, we're about Aunt Edith, but I needed to highlight the internationalist role that the ANC has played. It has not been simply a beggar to other countries, but whenever it had an opportunity to also to help others, we did rise to that challenge. We do need today to also to understand the role that the ANC has played and the role that ANC continues to play today in terms of responding to the challenges of the world. As much as we've got lots of challenges at home, but we also need to rise to the challenges that are confronting the rest of the world. The call at one time that was strong about Africa Renaissance, it should not be lost. We need to be of assistance to Africa. If by any chance we are standing in a better position than other countries, we need to extend a helping hand, like they did to us. Some of the incidences that are unfortunate, which we call down here xenophobic, we need to avoid such incidents. They give us a very bad name, and we end up appearing like people who have got no sense of appreciation, because others did stand in for us, and when others are in trouble, although circumstances may be different, but still the way we treat others and we call them funny names. We need to rise and become internationalists in our struggle. That is what the ANC stands for, and this is what we need to do even today. Chairperson, I don't want to take, I'm not sure whether Tunyiswa is back, but I would like to take much of his time. I was just standing in for him whilst we're giving him a chance to come on board, so that if he can give us some more of those stories of their time, I'm sure he'll give a better input than I'm doing now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, comrade. In the true spirit of comrades in the African National Congress, you rose to the challenge. Thank you very much. Uncle Sindiso is back. Over to you, Uncle Sindiso. Uncle Sindiso, you are online. Oh, he has no audio. What a pity. What a pity. Yes, I can see he has no audio. Okay. But he can hear us, right? Okay. Okay, he has no audio. That's unfortunate. Uncle Sindiso, we see you are online and that you are really trying to come on, but it seems there are technical glitches emanating from your load shedding, and also the device that you're currently using has got no audio. But not to worry. What we are going to do, Uncle Sindiso, is that we will find a way to record your message, and that message will be distributed to all the participants who are on in the memorial service, including, of course, it will be sent directly to the family. So yes, I think there are technical problems we cannot overcome at this point, unfortunately. So we will, what I will do then, if you allow me, members on the platform, is I will then unfortunately move on. We will get a recording of Uncle Sindiso's message that we can always listen to afterwards. And then I will move on then to receive the message from the African National Congress National Executive Committee. And it was going to be Comrade Balega Mbete, but she is also indisposed at this point in time. But the good thing is that in the ANC, we have many comrades who are our leaders and who also come up to the occasion, because that is what we have been taught to do in the African National Congress. And therefore, I will call upon Comrade Ayanda Dlodlo, who is going to speak on behalf of the ANC National Executive Committee. Thank you. Thank you, Comrade Ayanda.
Thank you so much, Comrade Nasizu. This is the eulogy that was supposed to have been delivered by Usis Balega. We gather to pay tribute to one of our elders, Comrade Edith Tunyiswa-Pemba, shortly after our leaders' declaration of this year as the year of unity, renewal, and reconstruction in the year of Charlotte Matlakane. This theme must be a matter of deep pride in the spirit of Sis Edith, as a person actually born in Mam Charlotte's time of activism and leadership. Though Matlakane passed away when Sis Edith was in her early teens, the multiplicity of fronts on which Mam Matlakane ferociously fought for change in South Africa must have influenced the generation of Mam Edith. We thank the NEC for giving us a whole year to remember this pioneer, whose activism started even before the ANC was formed. Now, our focus is on giving Mam Edith a well-deserved good send-off in spite of limitations imposed by COVID-19 pandemic. She lived for a good 93 years. Who is she? What kind of person was she? And what lesson does her life teach us? We have basic information from the obituary. We also learned a lot from what has been posted on social media and other publications. A lot has been said in this funeral also. A quotation from volume 1 of The Road to Democracy in South Africa. And I quote, "In Tanganyika, While stationed at Regional Government Hospital at Mbeya, Edith Tunyiswa helped many ANC activists who were in transit in Dar es Salaam. She used her meager salary to provide exiles with accommodation, food, and money for transport to their final destination. Close quote. In a nutshell, she had a big heart. Historically, the financial position of the majority of Black people was such that there was no abundance of choices or careers. The government offered scholarships in these limited areas, especially for women. Most girls opted for either becoming nurses or teachers. Sis Edith went to do both. She first trained as a teacher and even practiced as a teacher briefly. When she later trained as a nurse, she didn't just become a nurse, she furthered her skills there by additionally becoming a midwife. So when later in Tanganyika, she was one of those relied upon to assist in helping to train Tanzanian nurses. She was well qualified for the task. She served our people as a hardworking, practical representation of solidarity. The agreement for the ANC to send the 21 nurses in response to Tanganyika's request was not a one-way gesture. It was part of a package of mutually beneficial responsibilities in which the ANC also benefited. A free Tanganyika, along with Zambia and other neighboring countries, opened up a lot of opportunities for Southern Africa's liberation movements to establish offices and locations for the activities of their members on behalf of our people's struggle. Let us remember the nurses were not the first South Africans to leave the country. Already in February 1958, a group of 1,000 ANC members who'd left for Botswana from northwestern Bahurutse community had already gone ahead and created a solid underground movement in and out of South Africa. I am convinced that from this particular life, we will continue for many more years to extract a lot of lessons and examples from which, if I were to learn and organize ourselves better, future generations will benefit more. Today, we agree that here lies a woman of whom we can be proud. Here lies a woman without whom the story of our road to democracy is incomplete. The third and my last point relates to some of the debates I've picked up on social media space, which, in my view, misdirected, can't go without comment. I must say that the comments I'm about to make are easy to distort or misunderstand, and one risks opening up a can of worms. I'll make them anyway. I'd rather start off by acknowledging and saluting the souls of countless lives of freedom fighters whose lives were part of the sacrifices during more than 3.5 centuries of fighting for our freedom. This is how long it has been. Each life was as precious as the other. In this context, let's not be victims of recency, whereby only those events of what is called living memory is important. We must appreciate all the contribution and brave deeds, even those we never knew or heard of, whose roles were played out long before we were born. In this regard, I'm conscious that many who were freedom fighters who played important roles in the struggle, including in the labor movement, mass mobilization, underground activities, both inside and outside the country, and the international front, especially as led by President O.R. Tambo, are still alive and able to express our opinions and narrate what we remember. There are quite a number of inaccuracies and distortions, which unfortunately are too many to deal with now. It must be acknowledged that a lot more must be done to address the welfare needs of many families of former liberation combatants. Whatever outstanding services, be the education for their children, healthcare for our activists, and accommodation needs, all these have to be delivered to all deserving comrades according to the records of our government on those who were participants. Otherwise, it simply becomes a source of bitterness and ongoing negativity that fuels some of the social media stories. The reason it's critical to deal with these matters practically is to help redirect our attention, energies, and efforts correctly. An example of my concerns is the tendency not to appreciate African countries' positive contribution to our struggle and our freedom. No one claims it was paradise. We must learn from our age-old saying, sisters and brothers share the head of the locust. Many South Africans will attest to having lived and worked peacefully as part of communities all over the continent of Africa for many decades, not just in 3 countries. This is not to negate the fact that a lot of bad and cruel atrocities were visited on same South African refugees. We must also never forget that citizens of many countries also suffered and died as part of what's referred to as collateral damage in the course of our liberation struggle. Let's take trouble to know this history, not limit ourselves to that which is of immediate interest to us only. Let us also familiarize ourselves with other perspectives which will help us balance our understanding. It will also enable us to continue to play a constructive role in the current era of unity, renewal, and reconstruction in the year of Charlotte Maxeke on the African continent, even after we finish our role as the chair of the African Union. Mbokodo ufezile, hamba kahle, umsebenzi wakho ufezile. Thank you very much. That was the speech by Comrade Sisbaleka on behalf of the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Comrade Ayanda Dlodlo. That was really inspiring. We stand upon shoulders, high, solid shoulders of stalwarts in this organization who made huge strides under very, very difficult circumstances very many years ago. And therefore, there's nothing that stops us as this generation to also be able to contribute and make strides in terms of what we have to do for our organization. The message of carrying the fallen spears of all our stalwarts, continuing where they left off, pick up the spear so that we can be able to reenact all the dreams that they have had for our country. So in the spirit of renewal, we must, all of us, be motivated by these deeds that were done by our stalwarts, Abomam Edith, and others, in fact, who even are still alive today. That's why I said at the beginning that we are really, really blessed as this generation to be able to stand here and still be able to have experienced the lives and the impacts that these stalwarts have had on our road to democracy. Thank you very much, Comrade Dlodlo. I would like at this juncture, to call upon the family representative to do the vote of thanks. We are running 3 minutes over our 18:30, but as I initially said, I was not going to curtail anybody because we are celebrating and remembering a life very well lived, a life of dedication. So if we go over by a few minutes, it's not a problem. So I would like, therefore, to call upon a family representative, and that is Ms. Nolutugela Tunyiswa-Pemba, who's going to speak on behalf of the family. Give us a vote of thanks. Thank you. Comrade Nolutugela.
Thank you, Comrade Nonsi. Thank you for affording me the opportunity to participate in this memorial service. I've been given this task by my family to say a word of thanks on this great event in honor of our mother, our sister, our aunt, our granny, our great granny. So today, we thank you as the African National Congress for being part of Dabawo's journey of life. You've played a big role in her journey of life because many of us, including myself, we really did not realize the contribution that Dabawo had in the organization when she was in exile. So we really thank you especially the person that started to recruit her to leave the country. Though the parents were crying because they wanted their daughter to be with them, and 2 of their daughters had to leave the country. So we thank you for giving her the opportunity of taking part in making this country to get its liberation. Thank you for recognizing her talents and giving her the opportunity to contribute to the liberation of this country. Because if you were not there as the organization, she would not have done it when those that she worked with were not there. We will forever be grateful as the family for the role that she has played and the role that the people that she worked with played in making her the person she was. Politics, however, ran in her blood because her great-great-grandfather, who was known as Jonathan Tunyiswa, was a political leader. So this proves to say that the reason why she said it's okay to be recruited and leave her parents in the lurch, it is because politics really ran in her blood. So Dabawo, we see her as one of the heroines of our country. And us as a family, the Tunyiswa family, the Benny family, the Gyasi family from her mother's side, we're very proud of her. The talents that she had, there are many of them, and many speakers have mentioned them. I won't go back to them. So because of her many talents, she was also very selfless, which is the reason why she lived her life fully. She was a woman full of life. I'm sure people that have spent a lot of time with her would know that. She was a woman that was so full of life, a woman that was so warm, that was so welcoming, that was so loving. If you entered her house, you wouldn't go out without having a gift. You would not even know where she got the gift from. So we really appreciate what you have done for us as a family. And we're also proud of her because sometimes when a person is away from home, you don't know what she will show out there in the world. But we've heard the great speakers. We've heard what an honor it is to be part of Aunt Edith's family, and Nozipo's family, Dabawo's family, and all the other family members. Thank you so much, Comrade Nosi. We appreciate what the ANC has done and all the ANC leadership at large. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Uncle Sindiso has raised his hand. I'm sorry, normally we would proceed to the closing, but I do believe that it is allowed. We are dealing with our veterans, our stalwarts, the fathers of our revolution. And I see that he has a raised hand and he has been struggling to speak. So if you will all indulge me on the platform, maybe I can try and see if he can say something before we move on to the next part of closure of our meeting. Please indulge me. Can I just check? Uncle Sindiso, are you able to speak now? Hey, the audio is a problem. No, we still don't have audio from Uncle Sindiso. What a pity. But you can see the determination is there. He has been trying for the most part of an hour to make sure that he can overcome the issue of the ESCOM load shedding, but it's not working, unfortunately. Uncle Sindiso, we have a solution for you. You can record, and then we're going to send it to everybody on the platform and also to the family members. I'm so sorry about this. It's just not working on the technology side from your side. Thank you so much. We now come to the point where we are going to request for Reverend Tebogo Moagi to give us a closing prayer. But before that, maybe I should say that we would like to thank the family of Mom Edith for giving us this opportunity to remember Mom Edith and to tell you that we are with you. As you can see, all the speakers have spoken spiritually. We are with you. We have been walking the road with yourselves and Aunt Edith for many years. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be able to have this memorial service and to celebrate Mom Edith's deeds. Thank you also to all the speakers. We really appreciate it for the time that you've taken to write your speeches, to send them in, and to share these beautiful, rich memories and rich experiences that we are just absorbing as you narrate them. And we thank you so much for that. We are pledging that we are going to take these narratives that you've given us to motivate us and invigorate us into moving into the next step of our struggle in our country to deal with all the challenges that we have with force, because we can see that Babu Mam Edith, they did these under very, very trying circumstances. And if we compare the times of then and now, there is no reason why we should not be able to take that spear and move ahead with it. Thank you also to the organizing committee, Comrade Tandi, Comrade Zolile, Comrade Nono, Comrade Kabelo, Speaker Mehwe. We are really, really indebted to you for taking all the time to put everything together, and we really appreciate it. Thank you to the IT people as well. We are most appreciative, and to all the attendants on Facebook, on YouTube, and all the commentaries. We really recognize them, and we are very, very appreciative. And Aunt Edith, where she is now, she's definitely smiling and saying, so thank you very much. Let me hand over to Reverend Mwahi so that he can give us a closing prayer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mama Program Director. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to learn a life of the spear that has fallen, the spear of our nation and her selfless life. Before I pray, can I just request the ANC family and her family that we do not bury her with her history. Some of us, especially my generation, we have never heard about her, but we learned about her today. So even in death, she continued to liberate us. Let us pray. Father God, mighty creator of heaven and earth, guide her, O thou great Jehovah. She is a pilgrimage to your kingdom. May her soul rest in peace, and as you continue to comfort her family, may you give us a renewed ANC and a renewed country. May you continue to inspire hope to us, especially about our mothers who have selflessly lived their life in exile, fighting for us. And therefore, may your spirit of healing and comfort her family and heal her children, her family, and the entire ANC family that is wounded by her passing. In Jesus Christ's name, thank you. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend Mwahi. I think that the challenge has been repeatedly made on this platform to say that it is very important to capture the life of Mom Edith and other stalwarts, because that will assist us in being able to mobilize for renewal, mobilize for more people to be able to understand whence we came from and what we can still do under the circumstances in the spirit of renewal. Thank you very much. If I'm allowed to, I would like therefore to request the participants and comrades and fighters on our comrades and the freedom fighters on our platform, if they allow me to close this meeting and adjourn it so that the family can repair back to the things that they need to do in terms of the processes. Am I allowed to therefore close the memorial service? Yes, I am. Thank you. Long live the spirit of
Hamba wesizwe thina bangomkhonto simisele ukuwabulala wona amabhulu thina bangomkhonto simisele ukuwabulala wona amabhulu hamba kahle mkhonto mkhonto wesizwe hamba kahle mkhonto wesizwe thina bangomkhonto simisele ukuwabulala wona amabhulu.
Thank you, comrades. Thank you. Be safe. Be safe. Thank you very much, comrades. Be safe. Keep safe.